I am thrilled to be with you all at what is the conclusion of a very successful summit. Can we give a cheer for how much we've learned? Woo! This was my first time, and I have enjoyed it so much. I want to share a word of appreciation to Cody and Dan and Celia for the invitation of being a part of this wonderful learning event, and to each of the keynote speakers, the workshop presenters. I've learned and been inspired from each of you, and to each of you, many of whom I've gotten to know over the past few days. I've enjoyed it. I also want to share a note of appreciation. I don't know if Chris or Derek are here from the morning workouts, but let me just say I went to both. I'm from the East Coast, so that was early. If my legs start shaking while I'm talking today, it's not nerves. They just worked some new muscles doing all kinds of stuff out there in the grass. So thanks to them, too. That was awesome. So you have ahead of you a huge opportunity. You can return home with all the fruitful connections you've made through networking, all the skills you've developed, the expertise, the information you've learned. That's crucial, right? That's why you come to the summit. You've gotten that. You're taking it back. You also have the opportunity to return back ready to inspire a culture that empowers all ages. Why you? Well, because you coach, you train, you motivate people daily, you help them become their best selves, right? That's what you do. As such, you have a very unique ability to switch and shift how people view aging. You can switch it from that view of diminishment, which we've been hearing about, to one of empowerment and growth and strength, right? So I know you all are champions of fitness and health. I've noticed that over the past few days. I also invite you to become a champion of age pride. So this is an opportunity, dare I say, a challenge. And if there's anything I've learned about this group, it's that you're up for a challenge, right? So you will leave here today with some strategies, some tools, some techniques, ways that you can plant seeds of awareness around ageism so we can shift from ageism to age pride. So let's start from the beginning, the very beginning. Oh, this isn't my baby, but he's cute. It's a friend's baby, Jackson. No one is born thinking that one age is any better than another, right? And when we're born, we actually celebrate every day and then every week. And here he is. He's celebrating his 9-month birthday with a cute little onesie. And then we celebrate 1 year, and then we go to quarter years and half years. We may know children that say, I'm 5.5, right? Really proudly. And then if you're like my daughter, who's about to turn 12, she would prefer to be turning a teen. And then if you're anything like me, you really looked forward to turning 21. Don't remember that, but I looked forward to turning 21. And then you get into what I call a little bit of uneasy territory. You're not quite sure that you want to keep going chronologically, right? You might want to hit pause, and it's different for everybody. My mom joked over and over, and I didn't get it for quite a while, that she was turning 29, in her 30s, in her 40s. Finally, when I was 29, I was like, okay, that joke is almost gross. You can't be 29 anymore. But all of us have a different age where they want to pause, right? And it changes throughout life, our relationship with aging. Sometimes we celebrate it. Sometimes we're just ambivalent about it. Sometimes we feel a little fear about it. And that changes depending on what's happening. But do we think this sweet little baby here, 9-month, is dreading his 10-month birthday yet? No, gosh, no. But if he lives long enough, he will start to see the messages that we are a society that prefers youth, right? We really do. So here are images of how we celebrate birthdays. Almost anything over the age of 29 is considered over the hill. It's hard to believe, but it's true. So this is portraying to us that birthdays when we're younger are celebrated, and then as we move farther along, right, you get into that period of unease. You're not sure you want to go any further. I was recently at the airport, and I was watching a mom and a daughter. Maybe she was 2.5, couldn't quite tell. She was digging around. The daughter was digging around in the mom's purse, and she pulled out what I could only guess was a banana. It looked like it had been in that bag for a long time, right? Like, I don't know, I would have used that banana for banana bread. It was that bad. She pulled it out, she starts peeling it back, and it's as bruised as the outside of it. And she starts eating it with joy. I mean, she's loving this banana, and her mom and I are looking at each other. Afterwards, she says, Mom, I love the dark parts of the banana. And the mom and I looked at each other with bewilderment, like, did she just eat that nasty old banana? So, had she not learned the cultural, or at least the culinary assumption that younger and fresher is better? So am I saying that we're bananas? No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that how we go from being that 9-month-old to someone that might feel a little trepidation or fear about turning 40, 50, or 60 is through our learned beliefs about what it is to be old. This is a real sign I have seen that exists in the UK. I'm not sure what it means. Something about slow, something, maybe older people are crossing the street. I know there's also been an anti-campaign against this campaign in the UK. I put this up because I want us all to gently think about our own caution signs, our own warnings that we have inside ourselves, kind of fears that we have about our own aging, right? They're everywhere. So as Dan said, I think it's really important to think that when we see these negative perceptions that maybe we've absorbed from being in society, they are not inherent shortcomings in our moral character, right? That doesn't mean we're bad people. We all have them. I think about this a lot, and I say ageist stuff all the time. So it's important first to remember that. Second, to remember they're unintentional, right? Most of them are even unconscious. We've just absorbed them. So they're ways that we just associate because they're so prevalent in our society. So as we gently peel back some of our preconceptions about what it is to age today, we'll do so knowing that maybe there's a little bit of discomfort. That's okay. It might be our growing edge. We also, when we see these preconceptions in ourselves, we have to be compassionate and kind, and humor is a must. So when you see them in your clients, also bring that sense of compassion and humor and kindness, because everybody's lived in society and has absorbed them. So that's very important. I want to say that I am not a Pollyanna around aging. I'm not rah, aging is the best. I work in the largest retirement community in North Carolina called Carolina Meadows, and I know very well about what the challenges are to grow older. I see them, the losses of physical and emotional. That is a real truth, but what we're trying to do is broaden. It is not just about loss, right? You've heard this over and over. It's also about a time of personal exploration, growth, and meaning, and you can help set that for your clients. So let's just be clear on what ageism is before we get any further. So the World Health Organization defines ageism as prejudice, stereotypes, and biases based on age. And it can go either way, right? Those of you that are the millennials, there's a couple in here. I saw hands raised earlier, right? You might know some of the negative stereotypes about you. I'm going to say them, that you might be entitled, maybe you're self-absorbed, you're overly obsessed about technology. Those don't feel good. There's also negative stereotypes about older adults, maybe that they're dependent, that they're asexual, that they're cognitively slow. Those don't feel good either. For purposes of this discussion, we're really just going to focus in on the ageism around older adults, since that's the population we work with. How many of you have been aware of ageism, you'd say, for the past year? How about the past 5 years? 10 years? Is anyone really woke in here? Okay, so I want to share that it was actually coined in 1969. So 50 years ago, ageism was coined by Dr. Robert Butler. It was around the time of the Civil Rights Movement, which makes sense. It was a time of exploring, social issues. So it's been here a long time, and it's slowly gaining some traction here. This connection with youth is good and old is bad is made everywhere. We heard that in the earlier presentation, which was awesome. The different ads, some ads were really pro-aging, and some had a lot of the negative stereotypes. We see this in marketing. We see it in social media, but more importantly, we see it in what we say to each other, and we hear in what we say and don't say to each other, right? So a lot of it is what we ourselves are putting out into the world. I was visiting a friend recently and met her daughter for the first time, and I was asking her how old she was. She said, "I'm 5," and she was telling me a little bit about what it's like to be 5, and she said, "How old are you?" And her mom went, "Oh, shh, oh, don't ask that question." So already that was a message to the child that it was something of embarrassment or shame or just something that we don't discuss. So I assured my friend, totally fine. At the time, I was 46. I turned 47 yesterday, by the way. Woo! I celebrated. So I told her I'm 46, and I wanted to say something that I enjoyed about my life. And I said, I have a daughter, so I enjoy being a mom. And my mom is also alive. So isn't that cool? I get to be a mom and have a mom. And the 5-year-old shook her head. And she said, I love donuts and dancing. And I said, so do I. So we are more alike than different. I want to just put that out there. That's true. So how did we get to be a society that's kind of overly obsessed with youth, right? I would like to say that it started 2,000 years ago with the Roman philosopher Seneca. Are there any Latin scholars in the audience? Anyone want to guess the translation, what senectus morbidus est means? Oh, huh? It doesn't mean something good. It means old age is a disease. Whoa. That's what the philosopher said 2,000 years ago. Old age is a disease. First, I want to note that in this picture of him, he's supposed to be 69, right? So if old age is a disease, I think a lot of people want to catch that disease. But seriously, think about a philosopher, someone that's supposed to inspire us, that's supposed to provide, vision for living, is saying that old age is a disease. So in our industrious American way, what do? We set out to cure this disease. We've got creams, we've got lotions, we've got surgeries, we've got all kinds of stuff so that we don't have to become old and age. Because of this history, it's important that we remind ourselves and that we remind our clients a lot that aging is a natural part of the life cycle. It is as natural as every other stage of life, right? We are all aging right now as we sit in this room, and it's fine. That's what we do. Ashton Applewhite, who wrote This Chair Rocks, if you haven't read that book, it's really a wonderful book around ageism. I consider it the Bible. She says that aging is living. So if you're anti-aging, what does that say about your approach to living, right? So that's interesting. We're all very familiar with the challenges of aging because they're everywhere in our culture. We know all about them. But there's many positives that we don't celebrate as well. My mom loves to brag, and she's now, 30 years older than me, 77. She loves to say, Amy, I sleep so much. And I was like, okay, because I don't get to sleep that much. She says, if I don't sleep 9 or 10 hours a night, I feel sick. And I was like, wow, you sleep that much? She's just so used to being rested that she feels really fantastic a lot. She has time to dedicate to things that she wants to spend time on, friends, family, and taking good care of herself, right? That's awesome. As you grow older, meaningful relationships deepen. That's something that a lot of older people celebrate. Your emotional skills progress. I dare you to think about what your self-regulation was like maybe in your teens or your college years. I don't know. Hopefully your self-regulation has improved. And then finally, many people are much more confident, right? They're more self-assured as you grow older, less concerned about what other people think. Some people have better hairdos, straighter teeth. I, for one, would not want to go back to my awkward teen years. And let me just say, my daughter was mortified that I put this picture of myself up. But she has not gotten past the point of caring what other people think. But I love this. The wiser mind mourns less for what age takes away than what it leaves behind, right? There's a lot of growth happening in things that we're probably happy to leave behind, such as some of our worry and self-concern. Aging is universal. So unlike other isms, what is unique about ageism is that if you live long enough, it will affect you, right? Unlike racism, it may not affect you. Unlike sexism, it depends what sex you are. But in ageism, it's gonna affect us all. So aging is universal. It's a human condition, right? It's going to happen to everyone. Because of this, it's in everybody's best interest. In my best interest, your client's best interest, all the culture's best interest, to really care about how we view aging, because we're all going to go there, and we're going to be subsequent to what our society thinks about aging. Aging is just one ism in the realm of many social justice issues, and I do want to note that it may be a slight pain compared to a lot of the other pains of other isms that we hear about a lot. I would also say, however, that ageism is one of, if not the, last socially accepted prejudice. Just think about it. The things we say to each other, the things we hear, the cards we get, the cards we give, it's everywhere. It's so ingrained in our society, in our collective psyche, that it kind of seems harmless. So we do have to slowly peel it back and kind of look behind. On the way here, I heard on the radio someone that was doing a report, and she said, I don't want to give away my age. She was just saying something, and I thought, that's an interesting comment. Like, where else would we say, I don't want to give away my sex, or I don't want to give away my gender? It's just something that we hold very close to us because of the way our society has such negative views of aging, right? I also want to just pose to you something I've found fascinating, that this ism, ageism, is the only one where we use the opposite category as a compliment, right? So oftentimes, we'll see later as we get along, that if there's an older person doing something awesome, you're like, oh, she's youthful, right? But if there's a woman doing something strong, we wouldn't be like, oh, she's like a man, right? So just it is curious how we've come to really, really see youth as the gold standard. So again, I know this is a little controversial, so we'll just peel it back slowly as we think about it. If you don't tolerate prejudices based on race or sex or gender, I just ask whether you would not tolerate them based on age as well. And when we do see them, what do we bring? Humor, compassion, and kindness. So we want to do it very gently. Another thing that's unique about ageism is that it is a prejudice against our own feared future self. All isms have to do with an othering, right? A sense that there is another group separate from us. Usually there's another group that has lesser value in society, one has more value. In this case, guess what? We are going to be the other. Right? That's wild. So Nelson here goes on to also say that it is odd that we live in a society that actively supports a prejudice against a group to which we all hope to belong to. Right? That is very odd. When you think about it, that is very interesting. And one of the reasons is that we tend to think in polarities. That's just a way our society thinks. It's a little easier. You're either this or that. You're either young or old. We just tend to kind of think easily in those associations. And as such, we've kind of said young is good, old is bad. So I went to visit my neighbor, Miss Hazel, because I live in the South and everyone's Miss over a certain age, and she was celebrating her 90th birthday. I was asking her how's she doing, and she said she's doing pretty well, but she was not getting out as much, so she was feeling a little lonely. I suggested, why not head out to the senior center? She was still driving a quarter of a mile away. Awesome solution. She said, what did she say? I don't want to hang out with old people, right? Have you heard this? Maybe they don't want to come to your classes because they're afraid they're full of old people, right? Ooh, so when given a choice between young and old, people are often going to choose young because they want to distance themselves from the group they see as old. This is what we call internalized ageism. And as a couple other people, Mark Middleton and others have noted, often the oldest people tend to be the most ageist. I can speak this for truth from my own retirement community. They've lived the longest. That makes sense. They've absorbed a lot of these messages, right? And as such, they tend to hold them. So the change in culture is going to take all of us, not just the older generation. It's going to take every single generation to make this shift. There's another way here to view it. Instead of internalizing these negative views, I'm going to suggest a different way of thinking. It often takes a radical idea to shift thinking in society, and mine is this, and it's radical. It's be bold, claim old. It is a provocative call to action. This is not a marketing campaign like, let's be old. That's not going to work. I'm asking each of you, though, to think about, can you claim old? Can you come to a positive place, a positive relationship with your own aging? Because it affects how you view other people, and you are doing a huge role in empowering your clients to view aging in a certain way. So I am asking everyone to embrace every single age. I think we can do it. If this idea makes you groan, and it might have made a few people groan, I'm not sure, or if it makes you a little hesitant, just know that that's normal. That might be a sign that you can gently peel back some of the layers and just look gently at your own relationship to aging. Sometimes it takes time to think about that. We talked about, we heard earlier in the presentation, so you already know this, but I'm going to reinforce it to you, that some of the perceptions we have around aging are not true. We went through lots of myths this morning. Those of you that were in the first keynote, awesome, right? He gave lots of great examples. Life satisfaction increases with age. It's correct. It's a U-curve, so it looks like this. Up here in the 20s, we're doing pretty well. We start sliding down. Guess who's in the very bottom? I am. I'm 47. Actually, I think the very bottom is 51. Any 51-year-olds? And it makes sense because we have careers, we often have families, sometimes we have older adults. It is a busy time in life, right? And then it tends to go back up towards the 80s. Those of you that are over 50, this is a very unscientific study. Raise your hand if you think that life satisfaction does increase over 50. Oh, yay, okay. So that's good news. That's good news. Another preconceived notion that is more of a preconceived kind of fear that everyone has internalized is what? We're all going to lose our memory, right? That's so common. That's another huge fear that we have to look within ourselves. Is that one of the fears you have around aging? Yeah, it is. So what I want to share is the Alzheimer's Association statistic. 10% of people age 65 and over get Alzheimer's. I want you to hear that. 10% over 65. What does that mean? 90% do not have it over 65, right? We tend to focus on 10% is the same amount. That's the risk for breast cancer, and the rest women aren't running around, So just know that it is how you look at it. Yes, it does increase over 85, but there's a big 20 years window when we could be doing a lot of this rehabilitation and doing other good things to make it as strong as we can. Another study, I can barely read it here, it was in JAMA 2015, the Institute of Medicine report on cognitive aging, talked about that there's 2 parts of the brain that continue to develop as you age. A lot of people think, all right, it's done, no more developing. Not true. The areas that are responsible for knowledge and for wisdom continue to grow. So that means keep finding your growing edge, keep learning, keep doing new things. Your exercise and fitness is going to be a great part of that, right? So what you're encouraging is that what's good for the body, we know is good for the heart already. It's also good for the mind. I don't know if anyone heard, just last month, it was Dr. Turner, who directs the Memory Disorders Program at Georgetown. He was giving a State of Dementia talk to the press. And I was fascinated because he said there is only one thing with experimental support that staves off Alzheimer's. What do you think it is? Exercise. I was like, yeah, this group better know that, right? So he said to prevent Alzheimer's, he suggests going to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. What better message is that for your clients, right? Like, that is amazing. That is the kind of thing that people want to know. And when you're doing all kinds of stuff like I was doing out in the lawn this morning, you're probably growing some new knowledge as well. Some new knowledge as well. So you may be thinking, Amy, I'm too young. I don't need to worry about this, right? I'm a millennial, or like, does it really matter what I think about aging? Yeah, it does. It really matters. So some of you may know this research already, but in 2002, Dr. Levy did a study that showed that those that have negative perceptions of their own aging and of aging in general live 7.5 years shorter. Anyone heard that? So if you have positive perceptions, you might live 7.5 years longer. But Amy, I don't want to live longer if it's not going to be good health, right? That's what people say often. I only want to live long if my period of frailty is very small at the end. That's everybody's dream. Well, Dr. Levy went on to do subsequent research. So in 2018, let me look at my statistics here. Dr. Levy and Bavishi studied more than 4,000 people 50 and over, and this was just published in the Journal of Gerontology. And what she found is that positive perceptions of aging not only increased longevity, so again, those years of extra life, it increased your health benefits. Yes. So she had 2 possible reasons for this. The first was psychological. If you perceive yourself as being active and able, well then you're more likely to sign up for exercise class, right? You're more likely to take better care of yourself, and so then you're probably going to live a little longer. The second is what I find very fascinating. So this is physiologically. People with positive views of aging had lower levels of C-reactive protein. Huh? So those of you that don't know what C-reactive protein is, it is a marker of stress-related inflammation, and it's associated with heart disease and other illnesses. This is after they have accounted for things like sex and race and health and age. This was purely based on a positive perception of aging. Again, this is a really powerful message you can share with your clients. Positive perceptions or more accurate perceptions of aging are going to help people live longer and have significant health benefits. I'm going to return to the message of earlier for you all to be champions of age pride. This idea of be bold, claim old. I'm calling it a campaign for all ages, and there's 2 reasons why. One is I want you to celebrate every age. I think that every single age should be celebrated. We don't have to be a fountain of youth thinking about just youth. We can celebrate every single age we are with pride. The second is that it can be a campaign for all ages because it needs to involve all ages. This is not something that's going to be fixed by the silent generation. They're already on their way. I talk to them a lot. They don't really care about ageism. The baby boomers, yes, you are definitely going to be leading the way because you're used to fighting stereotypes and already pushing the edge. Social justice is your thing. But it's also going to take Gen X, Gen Y, millennials. I don't know what the younger ones are called, but it's going to take everybody working together, all the generations coming together. Yesterday was my birthday, as I mentioned, so I asked my daughter, am I old to you? And she said, yeah, you're old, which I expected her to say. And then she said something wise. She said, but so's a 20-year-old. And I went, So I'm gently reminding you that guess what? You are old to someone. So the idea is that if you could begin to celebrate and accept your age exactly where you are, think about the pride and comfort and experience you'll have in celebrating each new age as we move chronologically forward. In addition, if you can find some comfort with your age, you may be more open and receptive to the benefits that we do know are possible as we age. We've talked about a lot of those over the conference, right? The last thing I want to note about this is that Ashton Applewhite says if you're not quite where you think old is, if you have a certain idea of old, she talks about being an older person in training. I kind of like that idea. And you all as trainers might like that idea also. So if you're not quite there yet, you can just kind of train in the mindset you want to have so that once you're there, you're going to be ready. And you want to model that as well for your clients. So about this time, people start to say, okay, Amy, I can understand this. I get this ageism. I'm ready to solve it. What do I need to do, right? Sign me up. Well, like every other big ism, it's not going to be solved overnight. But what you can do, and what is a crucial first step, is to plant the seeds of awareness. You need to plant those within yourself as you gently look at how you view your own aging. You need to plant them in your clients. You need to sow them in yourself, your clients, the culture, wherever you are. I'm here to say that strategy of awareness is important. You sometimes kind of gloss that over, but it actually has to be the very first strategy. And something as simple as a slogan or a phrase, maybe that can plant the seeds of awareness. So this idea of be bold, claim old, maybe these 4 powerful words can turn the tide on ageism. If nothing else, it might make people say, what is she talking about? You know? And so they switch a little bit like maybe there's a different way of viewing that. It plants a seed for a new way of exploring aging. Often after my talks, I'll have people come up, sometimes an hour later, sometimes months later, and they'll always get my words confused, like, oh, you're the be old person, or, they'll call me something like that. But they get the sense that what I'm talking about is an affirmative, celebratory thing about where you are in your age and to have pride. I also have a lot of people come up afterwards and say, you know what, I love being 50s, 60s, 70s. I find this a time of passion and purpose, and so what you share around Be Bold, Claim Old really resonates with me and helps provide a framework. So that's awesome. So I just share that might help resonate with some of your clients as well. One of the most common ways that we shape culture is language. And you all use language a lot, right? As trainers, you inspire, you motivate. I'm here to remind you that your words have intense power. You can choose to use your words to uplift your clients. So what we're going to do is gently look at some common sayings in our society and just think if we might tweak them a little to make them maybe more age pride instead of focused on youth. All right, 70 is the new 50. How many have heard this? Oh yeah, 80 is the new 60. We can go any direction, right? What I would love to say as a more accurate way to approach this is that 70 is a new 70, right? That's what it is. We're living longer, we're healthier, we don't have to claim a younger age to feel pride, and we can model and show what 70 is. There is dignity inherent in 70. Here's one that I laugh a lot at. I am 60 years young. So very common, and again, I am not the phrase police. I'm just planting some seeds of awareness for thinking about it in a different way. So someone's, 2 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old, 58 years old, 59 years old, then they're 60 years young. Whoop! what happened? Somehow old just drops totally from our vocabulary. Have you seen that? I mean, sometimes it literally disappears. We don't speak it. It's like we want a distance. It's this young and old. If we have to choose, we're going to get away from that side. And I'm kind of posing this just to see if, like, now that we make it conscious, you can think for yourself, is it needed? I don't know if that change is needed or not, but I'm just posing that as an interesting question about how our society does speak. So you look fantastic for your age. Anytime you have a qualifier, that should be a little flag. And I say this all the time. So I do teach yoga, and I'll often say, oh my God, you're so flexible for your age, or, gosh, you're strong for your age, right? We say it all the time. Very common, comes out of my mouth. And again, this is all totally unintentional. Best purposes. We're meaning to empower them, and they probably feel empowered. I was at a restaurant recently before I came out with my family, and I saw a large table, looked like an intergenerational celebration, and the oldest woman had on a corsage, celebrating some sort of birthday or something. So I went over and said, "What are you celebrating?" And she said, "I'm celebrating my 95th birthday." I was like, "Great." And so the granddaughter said, "Doesn't she look fantastic for her age?" And I looked at the grandma and said, "You look fantastic, period." So the granddaughter laughed. She got the slight shift, and the grandmother beamed because she got a compliment without a qualifier. So just notice for yourself whether that's something you might bring into your awareness as you're planting the seeds of how you view aging. So unlimited youth. I have a teeny little picture here of ad some of you may remember from a very well-meaning national athletic company that did an awesome job. So they highlighted a nun that ran Ironman competitions, and she was amazing. I think she was maybe 87. Really, she was a kick-ass athlete, right? Amazing. At the very end, it said unlimited youth. And I went, wait a minute, is that how she ran and swam and biked? She found a fountain of youth? So what else might we say about someone that's run like 30 Ironmans? Unlimited what? Unlimited energy, unlimited stamina, unlimited potential. Right. So my question is, if they had used a different word, what could that have done for our association, our collective kind of consciousness of viewing an older woman in an empowered way? I think that by using youth as the word for her accomplishment, it in essence kind of diminishes it. What she did is she used her lifetime of experience, right? She used her lifetime of motivation, her hard work, her dedication. It definitely was not youth that helped her to do this. So just thinking, when we compliment your clients, think about accurately saying what it is that they have. They're motivated, they're hardworking, all of the things they are. Just conscious of that ability to maybe not use youth, because that's kind of digging into that thing of youth being the gold standard. And I'm advocating for a shift, as I know many of you are, around age pride. All right, so I want to share a story. Well, actually, let me tell one more thing first. So I think what's important here is that we share all stories. So the story of the nun that runs, she's very, very important. The story of someone that might be 60 and uses modifications in her exercise, that's an important story. And so it's important to use inclusive photos as much as you can in real stories, because those are going to pull in different audiences, and there's room for both. All right, I'm going to share a story of my favorite resident from the retirement community. We're not supposed to have favorites, but this is mine. Her name's Dorothy. She exercises on a treadmill every day for 20 minutes, and she wears Toms, and she's very stylish. That's the first thing I want to note. Has a matching scarf. She's of the generation that is how they dress when they exercise. That's for real. And that's how she does it, and that's cool, right? Who am I to judge? So she does that, and I asked her, can I highlight you as an example of what wellness looks like throughout ages and stages? And she said, sure, great. So here she is. I asked her, how did she continue to be so active? And she then said throughout her career that she was moving. She was in the fashion industry. She also then volunteered as a docent. She stands when she's cooking. She stands when she's eating. She stands when she watches TV. She says she just stands a lot and likes to move. As a result, she's been able to stay active. So here's a picture of her. She also does a stretch and tone class. And here she is on the right. So stretch and tone is our kind of code word for boot camp where I am. It is not just an easy class. I'm here to tell you that Dorothy is 103 in this video. 103, she's my idol. Yes, and we know better than to say 100 is, right? 80 is the new 80. No, it's not. Our community is redefining what it means, as I'm sure many of your clients are. In my community alone, we have 9 centenarians this year. 9 of them. That's a lot, right? It's amazing. And we know better than to say 100 looks like 100 on everybody. Right? Aging is very different. If you've ever been to your high school reunion or a college reunion, right? We know that aging looks very different. You're like, were you in my class? Right? It looks very, very different. So things that affect that, of course, we talked about health and access to health care. Financial resources are important, as well as genes. But it's important that you show images like this. So someone that's 103 might be motivating to someone. Someone that is like a kick-ass athlete that's doing Ironman, that's going to motivate someone. And then someone maybe in the middle, someone that does have some modification, but still finds a lot of joy and empowerment in their health and wellness. That's going to be important. So speaking of longevity, if you get someone in their 50s or 60s, what does that mean? You might have clients for 30 or 40 years. You might be ready to retire before they are, right? First of all, it's a great business model. Kudos to you for thinking ahead. But it also means that the skills you're learning here through FAI are going to help you continue to work with those clients, right? You're going to need to modify as bodies age and shift. And that's why this summit is so great, because it provides some of those resources. What's also important is to think about your definition of wellness. So if you or your clients have a definition of wellness, that means that you need to remain free of any illnesses or injuries or signs of aging. Guess what? They're not going to last long with you, right? They're going to come, and then as soon as they're injured, they're going to be like, I quit, I'm done, I'm old. But if you can instill in them and promote that wellness is available at every age, every stage, and every body, literally body, that is going to be something that's going to help you cultivate trusted clients for life, right? So this might be a shift in how you view. A lot of us think of wellness as extreme fitness in the absence of illness. I'm here to say that I believe we can have wellness at every stage. When people are ill, we want them to continue coming to class. So I am a yoga teacher, and we have a mindful approach, right? So I teach mindful yoga. I practice mindful meditation. And one of the things that mindfulness can be helpful for your aging is that mindfulness teaches you to stay in the moment. So a lot of our fears around aging are what? They're in the future, right? They haven't happened yet. We haven't lost our memory. We're not sick. We're not out of money, right? If we can stay here in the moment, that's good. Our approach is start where you are. This is helpful for 2 reasons. One, it's going to get clients in the door. If you tell them you have to be able to do 20 push-ups before you come to my class, is anyone going to come? No, you welcome them. Come start where you are. This is awesome. So they get in the door, then you figure out where they are, and you grow their strength. 2, it's going to help you keep clients for life. So if you're able to say, start where you are, and that means any place you are. If they come to class and they've had an injury, an illness, you want to welcome them, modify, do the things we learned from FAI to help keep working with them. In my own yoga class, I find it important to model, and I encourage you all to model and to share your own limitations. Yes, I said that, share your own limitations. We are models for our students, right? So after I had a surgery, I came back pretty quickly, and I didn't do as much. I was teaching, but like a little bit of teaching, but I said it's important for me to come back and do what I can. And that then modeled for my students to come back as soon as they could after an illness or an injury. And I've had clients for 10 years that have come through concussions and cancer, as I'm sure many of us have. It's important to plant that view that wellness is available at every stage and age and body. So we've planted the seeds here about how you can raise awareness through words, through actions, through your wellness approach. There's a couple other tools I'd like to share through the Be Bold, Claim Old toolkit. So on BeBoldClaimOld.com, and you all should have a handout nearby, it tells what the website is. There is a toolkit. The first piece that I find most interesting to most is a video. I have a 2-minute video that provides a great introduction to the idea of ageism, and it asks everyone, as that first step, just to accept and celebrate the age that they are. That's simply what I'm asking you to do. It says simple, but it's not that simple, right? But that's the first step, to accept and celebrate. This is on YouTube also. It's linked to my website. Feel free to share this broadly if you want to plant the seed for trying to shift a little bit how people view aging. The next is claim tags. Many of you are already doing that. Kudos. So the idea behind a claim tag is instead of a name tag, We're claiming something of value, right? Our age. We can do this. Oh, there's mine, 47. We can do this anywhere. I've seen it done in wellness fairs. I've seen it done in very large groups such as this. You can do it in your class. You can do it in your studio. So we have extra stickers available if anyone wants to take them back today, or you can contact me through the website also, and I can get you some. If you're interested in using this idea of the claim tags, there is a poster that's been created, and there's an example of it out front, and I have several copies of it here, and I can also PDF you it. But what it says in general is the 3 steps to the claim tag. Very basic. 1, what do? You write your age on your claim tag. 2, you have to wear it proudly, or maybe not proudly. Even if it's a little uncomfortable, you can still wear it. And then 3, when people ask you, you say, I'm laying claim on something of value, you know? And what it does is it just plants a seed in them. It makes them think, I wonder if I could do that. Maybe they relate to it, maybe they don't. But you're planting a seed for that in the future. What we also do in Be Bold, Claim Old is to ask them to share a little bit more about what it is you like in this stage of life. So we've done this at many, many different presentations across different communities. I thought I'd share just a couple. The first is Paula. She's saying, my priorities are clear. This is actually my Pilates instructor who's kicked butt. She's much stronger than I am at 62. And she was saying that through her life, sometimes she hasn't always been able to lead and live with her values. So she was very excited at this point in her life that she's able to. Then we also try to get younger folks, right? Very important in this movement. Here's Ava at 21. She said, I'm experiencing many of the firsts of life. Everything is new, right? Awesome. We remember, yes, that's a great place to be. And then this is Don, that's 86. And he says, I get to do what I really want to do, and I don't worry about it. That is a common sentiment when people write these, that they just feel joy, that they're able to return back a little bit more to their authentic selves. They get to have more time. They really care less about what other people think, which is freeing to them in general. So I'm not going to have you do that right now, but know that on the back of your handout, there's a little place. So if you feel inspired to just think about for yourself what it is you celebrate, you're welcome to do that. Another way that you can create age pride, here's just one example of what we did in my own retirement community. And my picture's there just to show you the scope of how large it was. We did a project called Celebrate the Gifts of Every Age. This was around the holidays, and we used an Instamatic camera. Just took, a cheap picture, and then we had people hold a sign that had their age so that people could see it broadly. And then they wrote down, what do they enjoy about their age? People love this. So it was everyone from 11-year-old family visiting to 101. People would come, smile, learn about the different generations, see that we're not that different, that there's quality and meaning in every part of life. Here's some examples. I'm going to start from the right. Did you know that after 75, you don't have to take your shoes off in the security line in the airport? Right? If you didn't know that, that's something that Rita was celebrating. She had just flown in and was like, yeah. And then here's someone that said she was counting her birthdays back in quarters. She was 70 and a fourth. She said, joy, again, this sense. I get to say and do exactly what I please. So much of our life is not that, right? Particularly when we're in the busy, busy parts of life. And then this is one of my favorite fellas. He's 95. He says, I have no enemies. I've outlived them all. Right? So you just never know. What I will say, and he says, playing the harmonica keeps me young. I might reframe, keeps him active, but that's good. I will say that in this process, so much humor, so much wisdom also about what matters in life. I love it. So on the handout in front of you, you have a couple of things. So awareness is the first strategy. What I'm going to advocate here is that you really, really work to try to create a new way of thinking, something that's going to empower all ages. I want you to remember that wellness is available at every stage and age and every body, and that unintentional ageism can shift to age pride as we begin to build more consciousness around it. And then there's a reminder of what's available on the toolkit. And then at the bottom, I didn't speak about this, but this is something a lot of organizations do. Our local hospital system just did this. They did a whole system of did you knows. So you could do this in your email marketing or maybe however you like to communicate with your clients. Did you know that life satisfaction increases over age? Did you know that knowledge and wisdom, and we know muscle mass, can grow with age? So you can have some of those questions and just have fun with them. That's another way to kind of plant the seeds of shifting how we view aging. Then on the back, there's some quotes. So quotes are just a nice, easy way to also invite people to shift how they view, seeing how people speak about it. I love this quote by Louise Hay that says, "Know that you are the perfect age. Each year is special and precious, for you shall live it only once. Be comfortable with growing older." Right? That is what we all hope for. That is what we're advocating in our clients. That is our role to be able to do that. So I am asking you to flex a new way of thinking. When we build new muscles, and I'm sure many of your clients like to think that they just come overnight, right? But they don't. They take a lot of time and effort. And when you build new muscles, it feels awkward sometimes at first, right? And sometimes it takes extra commitment and dedication. And then as you start to see results, you feel more inspired and motivated. In the same way, that's what's going to happen as you plant these seeds of awareness around ageism. It might feel awkward at first as you begin to notice some in yourself and in your clients. But I advocate that you just continue to work on it with commitment and dedication as you begin to see shifts in yourself and your clients, noticing how empowering this is. You will become more inspired and will continue. So just know this is a new way, flexing a new way of thinking. And I know many of you have been flexing for a long time, so I appreciate that. Finally, the future is ours to create. The time is now, and who better to do this than you all? You all are intimately connected with how people view their own aging. You can shift it, broaden it from a view of diminishment to include an opportunity of personal growth, opportunity, and strength. So I ask you, return back to your community, ready to inspire a community that empowers and celebrates all ages. Accept the challenge to go back as a champion of fitness and wellness and a champion of age pride. Together, we can shift the culture one by one and collectively. So let's do this. Be bold, claim old. Thank you. Thank you. And if you're interested, we could create a little we could create some momentum today. If you want to take a picture, like some of my friends here, and take a picture with your claim tag, we could hashtag it FAS 2019 or hashtag Be Bold, Claim Old. Just consider, or maybe to your own hashtag, right? Sharing that you celebrate your age. Thank you so much, and I wish you well and safe travels back.